What's up, everybody, man? You tuned into Big Lance Off the Yard. As always, prison rules are in effect. We're going to be humble, be kind, show some integrity, and show some respect for the guests today. Just a quick reminder that the clothing line is jumping. Sucker-free apparel is on the market. So go to Teespring if you haven't checked it out already. In a day or so, it should be posted on the page. I'm working out the kinks now. Today, I got a special guest, man. I consider this man a friend. We've had multiple conversations online and other. He's helped me through some tough situations. I've seen him go through some. He has a great channel. He's got great content, and I'm going to let him tell you guys all about it. So without further ado, my brother from another mother, man. Go ahead and tell him about yourself, man.
All right. My name is Bont83. You know, I always say that in my videos, Bont83 for successful convicts. Man, you know, did the growing up. I'm from Chicago, moved to Minnesota for all the wrong reasons, you know, came to Minnesota because Chicago is like that hub city, kind of like, you know, like the New York guys go to all the surrounding cities, the Miami guys go to all the surrounding cities, and the Chicago guys basically filter through the Midwest. So came to Minnesota because, you know, you could sell a $5 rock for $20 here. So, you know, lured me to it. And bam, a year later, got off into the conviction thing. First time offender. You know, he got hit with 151 months fed. And bam, life as I know it, did the whole turnaround.
That's funny how money can take us places. Chasing that money.
Exactly.
So 151 months in the feds, and for people that don't know, that's how they calculate time in the feds, through months, correct?
Yeah. It kind of tricks you. It makes you have to pull that calculator out, that math. You know, when I was at sentencing, you know, the judge was like, "Okay, you're getting 151 months." So my lawyer looking and smiling. Off top, you know, I know 10 times 12 is 120. So I'm like, that's more than 10 years. And you got to think, this is my first time offense. So like, I didn't, you know, I watch a lot of these prison channels, you know, Big Lance, you know, I had the kind of like, I call myself a smart dummy. You know, I went to Catholic school my whole life. You know, my mom and daddy, up until the time he passed, they were still together. You know, I had my own room growing up. So, I mean, really, I had no business out there doing what I was doing, but, you know, we all attracted to what we attracted to, and that's what attracted me. And, you know, and I still, you know, a lot of people in prison used to tell me, man, you can read, you can write, you know, you're very articulate, man, what you doing here? It don't matter, I'm here with you. You know what I'm saying? So that goes to show that, you know, you ain't bigger or better than nobody in life. You know, your situation might be a lot better. You know, like that's what really bothers me. And me and Lance talk about this all the time with the trolling. You know, it's like, it's real disrespectful. And, you know, the things we go through in life, you know, I don't take my situation no more for granted than Lance take his. So, you know, for somebody to come and just make a mockery of it, that's real disrespectful. And you know what I'm saying? You know, I ain't never been to no, like the level, you know, he talked about the level 4 yards and stuff like that. I was at a prison low where I think the most time you can have at a low is like 30 years. And then I went to a camp where the most you can have is 10 years. So, you know, you're not going to see a lot of the stabbings, you know, you're not going to see a lot of that violence that you see, but it's still prison. You know, you still locked away, you still away from everything you want to be. And you get to see that what a big waste of time it is. But at the same time, everybody that come there don't got like 10 years or less. You know, you get the people that's coming down from like a 30 and stuff like that. Or somebody might have beat their life sentence and they come down. And that's where the trickery come in at, because everybody coming there thinking, oh, this a camp, ain't nothing gonna happen. But you got guys in there that's packing steel because they come from that level 4, 5 yard. And, you know, they on their P's and Q's because, like we always say, prison rules are in effect. Once you get those prison rules, you keep those prison rules. You don't just leave them in R&D when you leave out.
I mean, that's, and you touched on something real good there, man, is that, you know, I think people have sometimes a misconception of who's locked up. And if you've done any time, you got guys who come from all ways of life, you know, all places in the world, and you have rich people, poor people, smart people, dumb people, but for somehow, some way, we managed to all live together, and they kind of just throw you in there into the mix, and it's like, get it how you live, man, and if you have problems, then you have problems. You know, I've seen people come in that, you know, weren't very intelligent when they came in, but taught themselves before they left. You know what I mean? You can do your time in so many different ways, man. And you know, some people choose to do it negative, and some people choose to expand their horizons. In a federal joint, let me ask you this: from what you've seen, like us talk about, and what you've heard, I mean, have you ever done any state time?
No.
What do you see as like kind of the differences, man? Like what from what you experienced and what we talk about?
The difference, for one, is the crimes. So anything that's federal is going to involve interstate commerce. So you got a lot of money related crimes, whereas now in the last like 10, 20 years, they start picking up a lot of drug cases. So with drugs, you know, you got different levels of drug dealing. Like I thought, you know, I was just a low level drug dealer. But then when I got in there, I seen a lot of guys who never even seen over 9 ounces of coke, you know what I'm saying? But they in jail, they doing that time like they, you know what I'm saying, sold a lot of drugs. And with that, when you brought in that, because, you know, back in the days, it was always considered club fed. You know, you see on the movies in the fed joint, they eating steak and they ordering out, they playing tennis and all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because when I first got to the camp in 2000, every first Wednesday, we used to have steak and lobster. But that was just because the food administrator, he was like a wizard on the computer. So he used to always find deals and he worked his budget. So he always find deals. But then we got a warden. He came in like, they eating steak and lobster, had us chop the steak out. And they made one lobster. Like, man, that's crazy. But I mean, that's where I learned to play tennis. They had a bowling alley. And the people in the town, it was in Duluth, Minnesota, they got mad because they couldn't come in to bowl, so they had to shut the bowl down. We had a movie theater, but you know, people look at like, man, the inmates living good, but you got to think this is where they live. You know, this is where you living at for years. You know, and then like if you got a life sentence, this is where you live. So I mean, what you supposed to be doing? Just chopping rocks? So you know, stay on topic. The difference is the criminal, you know, because like in state prison, it's two differences. One is the crimes that you committed of, whereas, you know, in the fed joint, you got, like I said, drug cases, you got embezzlement, you got like fraud, you know, that type of stuff. Whereas in the state, you got like the murder, you got car theft, you know, you got a lot of thieves, and you got a lot of stately crimes like, you know, breaking and entering and stuff like that. Whereas federal, it's involving some type of money, some type of, even if it's not a lot of money, it could have been a lot of money. And two, with the feds, you can go anywhere in the United States district. Like my last few months, I used my sister's address in Tampa, Florida. So I said that's where I was going to relocate. So toward the end of your sentence, they try to relocate you to a prison close to where you're going to relocate when you get out. So I went to FPC Pensacola, Federal Prison Camp Pensacola, in Pensacola, Florida, just to get out of where I was, even though that's not where I was going to relocate to. I used that. So, I mean, in the Fed joint, I met, you know, I know guys from all over. And then in Pensacola, they don't have a federal prison camp in Puerto Rico. So they send all the Puerto Ricans from Puerto Rico that go to a camp, they send them to Pensacola. So, you know, I met guys from Puerto Rico. You know, you just meet people from everywhere, where it's considered in the state joints, you're going to meet people that's from that state, unless they just, you know, happen to catch their crime in that state. That's a big difference. And that makes a big difference, too, because it puts you up on a lot of the way they do things different in different places. And it expands your horizons. So, like, when you get out, like, for instance, I know guys, you know, all over that I can reach out, you know, like for instance, we on the successful path. So like, I put a lot of my buddies from New York, Florida, all these different people I know. Hey man, check out this dude channel. You know what I'm saying? It's resources. Because one thing about prison, you can use it for one or two things. You can use it to expand your criminal mindset, or like he said, you can use it to broaden your horizons and come up on different knowledge. Because one thing I noticed about in the Fed joint, everybody in there is in there for doing some extra stuff. So like if you're in there for mortgage fraud, that means you really understood mortgages, because in order to do any type of crime on something, you got to understand the basics of it. So if you want to learn mortgages, go to the guys that's in there for mortgage fraud, because they understand mortgage, because they had to understand that it's just like drugs. You can take drugs and you can expand them into more drugs. Like you could take an 8-ball of coke and make it into a 1/4 ounce of coke. But in order to do that, you got to understand how to cook up an 8-ball of coke first. You see what I'm saying? So right. It's like a learning ground too. You got almost like the top tier of all these different, like I learned real estate in there. I'm a guy that was in there on real estate fraud.
Let me ask you this question here. And this is something that I've always kind of had in the back of my mind. Our success rate as far as people coming out of prison and staying out of prison is not very good. And I sometimes wonder, and some of the places I was in, they're rough. They're mainly locked down. They're violent. The COs don't care. The administration doesn't care. They just keeping you alive. The rest is on you. Now, in an environment where it is a little less volatile, it is a little less just so prison feeling, in your opinion, do you think that you're more capable of trying to make some of those changes? Like you're more capable of like really focusing on, trying to better yourself because you're not worried about all this other shit. Like when you're sitting there worrying about somebody stabbing you, you're sitting there worried about all this other stuff. How do you really have time and room in your brain to really focus on yourself, man? Do you think there's a better success rate coming from a less security style environment as opposed to something higher level?
You would think so. I mean, that makes it's almost like when you look at it, it's like, oh, it's common sense, but it's not like that, because I think coming from like a laxed environment where it's easy, it seems like it's more easier to get back into some BS, because you like, well, prison wasn't that hard. Yeah. But at the same time, if prison was hard, even like think about it. A lot of guys that was in prison, straight chumps, getting their stuff took, you know what I'm saying? And yeah. Really through a hard time, like, you know what I mean, in that jungle-like environment. Those guys, they get out here into the world. Now they tougher than the other guys. See what I'm saying? So now their mentality has been changed, even though they scraping and surviving and they're barely, you know what I'm saying? If they don't get that commissary in and pay off them wolves, they gonna get ate. But now they come out into the world where it's a lot easier. Now they become the wolf.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? And next thing you know, they caught up. But now they second go round, they're a little bit tougher because they know the ropes. I mean, it's just a mentality, man. It's so, and the world, society makes it so easy for you to do wrong. And it's so easy for you to catch that second case because you got that first one on you. It's a lot. Go ahead.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but it's almost like, and I think this is kind of like where like shows like yours, and this is why I love your channel so much, man. Success with Convicts talks about this same idea, as we can't continuously rely on the system to put things in place for us to make those changes. It ultimately has to be on us collectively as a whole. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's why this whole new genre of YouTube prison channels. That's why I stress so much. I make a lot of comments in people's videos I watch. man, we can't be on that beef and stuff. It's not like I want my album to sell more than Big Lance album to sell. We gotta vibe together, because one thing we got in common, we both been there. We know what it's like. You see what I'm saying? But another thing we got in common too, if you think about it, we all entrepreneurs. We just had the wrong products. Right. You know what I'm saying? And that's one thing I keep stressing to you, like, man, you got it, man. You know, and a lot of people watch your videos, you know, the trolls and stuff, they look like, oh, you know, he's a gang leader. He, you know what I'm saying, the drugs and stuff like that. But you got to look at it like this. It's not that you're a gang leader, you're a leader. You see what I'm saying? The BLC, I'm part of the BLC, 10,000 strong. You're a leader for 10,000 people, man. 10,000 people checking in on you to see what you got going. So now that with that comes a responsibility, just like you were saying. You know, I was watching that one video where you was talking about, you know, the guy said, hey, man, you know, you ain't gonna be doing no recruiting here. And you said, all right, you kept it low key. And then when it was time to make that move, you know what I mean? Just like if you read a lot of success stories, a lot of wars been won, but like a couple hundred people against thousands, because it's a mental. You know what I'm saying? If you don't got that heart, I don't care if it's 1,000 of y'all. I feel like I can whoop all y'all. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So, man, we are a whole nother different breed, man. We just got to realize our talents and put them in the right places, because society is set up for us to be that gang leader, to sell drugs. You see what I'm saying? But now you the leader of the BLC. You see what I'm saying? You got to guide the BLC on that right path. You know what I'm saying? It's a whole lot of trouble. I mean, yeah, you can get a prison yard, you can get 100 dudes with shanks, but imagine you got 10,000 people, and out of that 10,000 people, you got 1,000 people with businesses that you planted that seed and they had you know what I'm saying? And these not just 1,000 businesses, but it's 1,000 businesses strong. Because like I said, you know, in the Fed joint, it's this guy, just to give you an example of the type of connects you have. Like when I was going from Duluth, Minnesota to Pensacola, and Pensacola, Florida, that was a sweet joint, you know, because a lot of these, like Duluth is an old military base, and Pensacola is on the military base right in the front. You go in the yard, the prison is in front, and then the military base is in the back. And actually, I seen Roy Jones Jr. there. That's what he used to go there and practice on the military base rec in they gym, same gym we use. But anyway, so this guy was trying to put me up on tobacco. And I'm like, man, I don't smoke. And he like, man, I'm telling you, he was from Miami, an Indian guy out of Miami. He said, man, I'm telling you, you can get a whole tractor trailer load of tobacco for 50,000. I'm like, man, I ain't got no 50,000. He's like, man, you can get 50,000. You can find it borrow from somebody. And he was trying to put me on game of selling tobacco, the Swisher Sweets and the cigarettes to the different stores and stuff like that. And, you know, I brushed it off like, man, I ain't into, man, I get out, man, dudes is running their cars into stores, snatching the cigarettes. People are selling Lucy's. And I was just like, man, dude, try to put me up on game. But that's the type of stuff now that we out. Like I might know some, and it might not work for me, but that might be Lance's golden ticket. One of y'all might know some and put us on, and it might be our golden ticket. It's about that bonding and taking these experiences, man. And that whole prison experience, man, it's so much of a learning lesson, man. But people just don't even pay attention to it. Like for instance, in jail, you got a budget. You go to commissary, I know in the feds, you can spend $275. You know what I'm saying? You can spend $275. And, you know, it was like a bragging right dudes coming back from commissary, bag full, you know what I'm saying? Then the people that don't get commissary, you get money sent to them. So now you're getting even more. But I used to think in my head, like, why would I give all my money back to prison? You know what I'm saying? If I'm gonna eat, I'm gonna eat off the kitchen in prison. You know what I mean? So it's like, we got to take those same tactics that we use for bad and flip them and use them for good. And that's how you trick the system, because the system really is teaching you stuff, but they know maybe 1 out of 50 gonna grasp onto it. Like for instance, you know, you can only have so many outfits in prison. Got so many pairs of shoes, so many minutes on the phone. Now we get out here, we got unlimited minutes. We just recklessly using the phone. You know what I'm saying? We just own it. Ain't even really talking about nothing. We just own it just to be on it. We got a closet full of clothes. We don't even wear them all. You know what I mean? And I know it's probably the same thing for you. You had your visiting uniform that you kept clean, your visiting boot, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. But now how many pairs of shoes you got?
Yeah.
You don't even wear. You know what I'm saying?
Couldn't even tell you, man.
Exactly. So that's why we gotta, I'm pretty sure that's why you made your channel, because you got to remind other people that been there, like, hey, you don't want to go back to that. But as you always say, prison rules are in effect. Keep those prison rules in your head, man, and we'll make it out here, man.
Yeah. And you can't, and that's the biggest thing, and is you can keep pushing forward, And I always say, don't look back, you're not going that way. But at the same time, you can't forget where you started. You don't want to be the same person that you were when you got locked up. People always ask me, how long before you started working on yourself, man, before you got out? And I'm like, dude, you need to start working on yourself the day you get locked up. If you get locked up, that's the day you start working on yourself. And I don't know how it was for everybody else, but getting locked up saved my life. You know what I'm saying? And as much as we complain about the prison system, and as much as we complain and tell these war stories, there is another side of being locked up and incarcerated, depending on how wide open you were. You know, me and you and I are kind of on almost a different side of the fence here. In some ways, as far as before we went in, I as a hustler or whatever, but I had a bad drug addiction. You had addiction with money from selling drugs. So when you have those, stipulations, I guess is what you call them, those passions, to come together and collaborate at the end of this whole thing, when the smoke cleared, your time's over with, you made it out alive, and you sit face to face. At the end of the day, just two guys, two men, telling their story. And these people, when they try to dive so deep into explanations, they try to dive so deep into the wrong shit. Let's see this paperwork, or let's see this. They're using terminology that they, first of all, have no knowledge about. And that's the one thing. It's almost like they're like prison hype men sometimes. And in my opinion, I'm like, you're focusing on the wrong thing. I don't mind showing you any type of validated paperwork, but don't forget to listen to the message. Just like we are always going to have the most subscribers, but we have the right ones. You know what I'm saying? We have the solid ones. We have the people who aren't going to jump ship just because we make a mistake. And that's why I love the BLC. That's why I see yours. I see your people that comment. Yours are very loyal. They love what you talk about because you're real. And if you're genuine and you carry yourself as a genuine individual, people are gonna flock to that, man, because they want that for themselves. You know what I mean? I'm sure you're the same way.
Well, I got a saying, right? Everybody want to know about prison, but don't nobody want to go. So you know what I'm saying? And that's another thing. Like I was telling you earlier, you got to figure out a way to make your incarceration pay you, because it took time away from you. And the golden saying, time is money. You know what I'm saying? So the goal is to keep people from going. The harsh reality is people are going to go anyway. You know what I mean? It's going to be people that's going to listen to your story, going to listen to my story, and all the things that we said that we did wrong that led us to prison, they going to do them. You know what I'm saying? They going to do those same exact things and be in prison thinking like, damn, how did I get here? Duh, you did exactly what we told you led us to prison. It's those footsteps. I know you can probably think back. I look at all the things like, grew up in Chicago through the gangs, you know what I'm saying? And all the OGs, it's like a cycle. You young, you get used, you know what I'm saying? You get to the point where you can use other people, and you know what I'm saying? And then the generation under you use them. So now they get to a point, they use in the next generation, and nobody's you know what I'm saying, stopping the cycle, saying, hey, you know what I'm saying, let's stop using these brothers for the wrong thing. Let's use it for the right thing, and we all grow. But you know, I think that generation of thinking and people are dying out.
Yeah.
Because my thing was always, when I was in the dope game, I always wanted to mess with people who was trying to climb. You know, I didn't really like to mess with those dudes who were just in it for the lifestyle. You know what I mean? So to speak, those people, like, if a guy wanted one for me, I'd give him two. And they'd be like, oh man, I can't handle this. Yes, you can, you know, which is the wrong thing, you know what I'm saying? But my thing was, if something happened to me, if I fall off, I want to be able to come to you to get back on. I don't want nobody that's, you know, like, I'm pretty sure the longest time you did in prison, you had guys that came to you and like, man, what we gonna do? Now you out, what we gonna do? Like, what we gonna do? I've been in the fucking jungle. You should have had a plan or something going that I could have jumped to. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I like about the BLC. And we just got to keep pushing, like you say, keep pushing that message that, man, we are our own worst enemy. So we got to get first rid of our own enemy, which is ourselves, and then we can build from there. Because these trolls, man, this trolling is getting out of hand. It's almost to the point now the troll channels getting views, and you know, they got a following, people that like to just see the jokes. But like I said in that one video, it ain't gonna be so much fun when you walking through the mall or some festival or something, and Big Lance tap you on the shoulder like, hey man, can I holler at you for a minute? Such and such 265 from YouTube, do all that trolling, you know what I'm saying? And you with your girl and stuff like that. And now you see in that prison yard, you know what I'm saying? You seeing Big Lance from the yard for real, you know what I'm saying? Or even
they don't think about that. They don't think about that, man. And it's I try not to think about that. And it's the hardest part for me, honestly. Say what you want about me. The only thing I get my feeling about, when you start talking about my family and kids and shit, we have an issue, you know, because they're not. I put myself on this platform, not them.
Right.
And I don't even put them on there no more, really, because of that very thing. Like my son, he wants to be a YouTuber. He thinks this is just cool as hell. Yeah, and he has a personality for it. But I'm scared to put him on there because he's not mentally capable to deal with, you know, he's 12. Right. So he's not ready for that. And, you know, and I try to stress that to people, like, if you want to go and watch these channels and laugh, cool. But keep it there. Don't come here on the comments and be like, yo, such and such said this and such, because every week at this station, we're growing. And I'm not just saying numbers wise, I'm talking internally. And I tell people all the time, I don't want a bunch of yes men. I want leaders, 4 quarters, not 100 pennies. I want that every time. I was the same way in prison. The dudes I had rocking with me, man, people think I'm crazy looking. These dudes were they're doing 100 years. They don't care. And the same way I talk on here, I talked in there. The same person I was in there, I am out here. I didn't switch up. I wasn't putting on a costume on either platform. And just like here, real recognize real. And you don't even have to go searching. You make a statement by how you act, by how you roll. Once you get there, when I got to a pod, first day I'm working out. I'm hitting the bars. I'm hitting the weights. I'm doing my thing. I'm shadow boxing on the basketball goal, doing what I do. And the right individuals, when you're doing the right things, and this is what we both tell people. When you're doing the right things, the right people are going to come try to ingratiate themselves into your existence, because they're going to say, man, I want to be like that. I try to be like I would want, who I look up to. And to be who I look up to. So that's and the most gratifying thing about doing all of this. It will be nice one day if I can provide some type of life for my family through this. That's not my objective. My objective is when I wake up in the morning and I go on Instagram or I go on Messenger, and one of these people who have watched this show from day 1 or day 10 is like, yo, you said this, and this, and it changed my life. That's what it is. That's what helps me to keep motivated in doing this shit, because it ain't always motivating, man. There's some days you're just like, I'm ready to delete this thing. You know?
Yeah.
Bro, it's a damn job. And
yeah, I was kind of upset when you made that video. Like, oh no.
But we're human. We're human,
yeah.
you know.
Yeah. It's like I tell people, I know I'm that type, you that type. You always give. People come to you with your problem, with their problems. Hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? But it's like almost like, who do we go to once we run out? You know what I mean? You can give. Yeah, you know, it's like, hey, you know, I have problems sometimes. You know, I'm always getting, you know, people asking me relationship advice. You know, what should I do? Should I do this? Should I do that? And it's like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I need you. Like, I'm like, man, listen to Big Lance. That's who I listen to. You know what I'm saying? And it's really, a lot of times it's common sense, but we need to be reminded of it. You know what I'm saying? Like you say, repetition. You keep repeating bad habits, you're going to get bad action. You keep repeating good habits, good things going to happen.
And and I can't stress to y'all, people watching this right now, how many times me and this man have been on Instagram and have had conversations. And the reason I like speaking with him, and the reason I really want y'all to check his channel out, is, for one, the man articulates himself so well that it just draws you in. It makes you listen. And that in itself is you know, admirable. Second of all, though, is that he in his heart generally wants to make a difference, man. He wants to make a change in how this is all working, because the system is definitely broken. The system is definitely flawed, but we are one of the main causes of it. If we can learn to adjust our way of thinking, whether we're inside or out, think about how much better the system would be. And I know you're going to have bad apples, and I know you're going to have people who are going to be like, fuck you, we don't care about that. And that's fine. Let them do that. But if the majority of the individuals who are incarcerated or post-incarceration would just get on with this movement that's growing. If you look around YouTube, Instagram, this is going to go down. People are going to talk about this wave 100 years from now. This wave of these convicts who came out of prison and started doing this shit. And it all started with Big Hurt, I think, as far as I know. Yeah. You know, and a shout out to Big Hurt, obviously. And those guys who pioneered this platform for us, I still to this day watch their show. I don't watch many of these shows, man, because I feel like I'm watching myself. But, you know, I still watch him. I watch yours. I watch the people that I know are doing it for the right reasons. The ones that I know aren't, I skip by them. Even when they're talking about me, I skip by them.
It's a waste of time.
You know? But
and this is the thing too, right? For the people out there, I don't know, people that have been there, people who haven't been there, when you get locked up, you be like pissed off. It's almost like you be pissed off at the system. You know, I know when I first got locked up, I was mad. I was like, man, you know, they didn't lock me up. I was like, man, I ain't cutting my hair. You know what I'm saying? I let my hair grow, started getting braids. I was on some, you know, on some real, like, I've never been a gang banger. I've always been a gang member. You know, to me, I always like it's a difference. You know, a gang banger is a person who's actively involved in to me, the criminality of the gang. I was a gang member. I was like, you know, people would come to me with like for ideas. You know, I would like try to structure stuff, you know what I mean, for the legal part or the righteous part of what we can do as a group, as a multitude. So I was more of that type of guy. You know what I mean? I did my parts too, you know what I mean? Like, I'll be the driver. I'm the one to go buying people out. Every time when dudes would go to jail, and one dude told me, man, you used to write me all the time, man, but you ain't never send no money. And I was like, who else wrote you? You know what I'm saying? At least I wrote, you know what I mean? But this is the way we get back to the system, man. When we start snatching these people getting out and be like, hey, check this out. I'm gonna put you up on something, man. Do this, do that. You know what I mean? Because they're gonna feed you a lot of propaganda when you get out, you know what I'm saying? When you under those probations and all that type of stuff, oh, you got to go do this. Me and Big Lance and these other channels, we gonna teach you how to do it right. You know what I'm saying? So you ain't gotta make those mistakes. When you ain't gotta get out here and say, man, I can't find a job. I'm gonna go holler at, my plug, or I'm gonna go rob this old goofy dude over here. We gonna give you the right way. We're gonna give you the shortcuts. You know what I'm saying? So you ain't gotta take that route. And for me, this is how I get back at the system, by getting that brother who more likely gonna feed into their propaganda, because I'm pretty sure you've seen it too. In prison, you got two sets of lives. You got the people like me and Big Lance who come in, we do a stretch, and then years later, our sons come in, right? And then they do a stretch, and then their sons come in. And on the other side, you got the prison guards. They come in, they work, they do 20 years, they retire. The next thing you know, you see their 18-year-old son with a guard uniform on. Now he coming in, he gonna be a guard. You see what I'm saying? And on the same lives, you got this guard and this inmate. Now, this guard's son is the guard, and this inmate's son is the inmate. And it's like, you know what I'm saying? It's parallel. So this is how we break it, man. So especially to you trolls who out here who think it's funny and think y'all really doing something, y'all really in the way of people who really trying to strive for success, man. Because this is how we get back. We snatch those people who more likely to go toward the wrong way and follow the system, because the system is set up for you like that. We got those guys to do something right, to beat that system. That's how you really beat the system, by not going back into the system. Yeah. I know one thing I noticed too, like if the basketball rim got messed up, or you know what I'm saying, stuff like that, they fix it right away. But you try to get a good book in there that's gonna teach you how to do something. And you know what I'm saying? You got to go through hell and high water to get a book in there. You know what I mean? And one thing I noticed in prison, if you don't do no type of self-help, then you doomed to fail. You probably be back, because they got a lot of class. I remember I went to my little counselor. You have to go see a counselor with a team meetings every 6 months. And I started noticing it was the same thing. When you go in there, they already got your little plan wrote down already. So me, I say like halfway point, when I notice all that, I start like challenging them. I start going into the team meetings like, hey, you got this stuff wrote on the paper already. I ain't said I was going to do that. Well, you should do it, telling you should save $10 a month and you should do it. No. Then, start giving me, you should take a parenting class. For what? I think I'm already a good parent. What can you tell me how to be a good parent in prison? Well, we got these classes. No, I don't want to take those classes. I want to take these classes that you don't offer. So what are you going to do to offer these classes? You see what I'm saying? Because a lot of times the prison, they'll skate you along. And that's the difference too. Another difference in state prison compared to federal prison. State prison is more so ran by the inmates, whereas federal prison is more ran by the staff. They coincide with the inmates, but they're running the show.
Right.
I know I've heard stories, and I know homeboys. Like I got a homeboy now. He trying to get shipped from one prison to another one, and he say somebody blocking him. So one of the inmates either don't want him to leave, and I've heard stories about dudes. They come to a yard, and whoever running it for that prison be like, "No, get him out of here. I don't want him on this yard," and they'll transfer him somewhere else.
Well, the state, like especially some of the places I've been, like when I was at Sussex One or Red Onion, those are some bad places in Virginia, worse and worse. And the guards will straight up tell you the reason they're respectful, the reason they don't do shit out of the way is because they want to go home.
Right.
Like, most of y'all ain't got nothing to lose.
Right.
And some people, and I had this at one point, our reach extends far beyond those walls at one point in my life, and it wasn't nothing. Hey man, go wait outside Officer Johnson's house, man. Make sure he's going to work tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? So, and guards are very hip to that.
Yeah.
It took them a while to be that way out here, out in California, Texas. Those are some hard places where the guards, they have their own code. If you watch some of these shows and you listen to the guards speak, they say the same shit we say. they're programmed just as well because they're in there 12 hours a day. They want to go home to their families. They know these guys are shot callers. They know that it's nothing for them to pick the phone up and get their whole house wet up. That shit ain't nothing. And I think that mentality, that quick to go violent mentality is what we're trying to stop. I was speaking about it, I think yesterday or the day before, in a response to another video. And I was like, that's who I'm talking to, guys. Which I'm talking to everybody. Don't get me wrong. But I'm really, really, really trying to reach out one kid who really is at his wit's end with life, really has checked out. And before he has to feel that guilt of taking somebody else's life, and before that other person's family has to feel the pain of losing their loved one, and all that happens, then all these lives are ruined. Before we can stop that. We can stop that. And even when if I'm not having a good morning, if I'm like today, I got pneumonia, but you can't miss a beat. You can't miss a beat, man, because it's going to be that day that you skip that he's going to need to hear that.
Yeah.
And that's what people don't get. They think it's a big joke. They're like, oh, look at these convicts trying to make $1. Trust and believe, and this man will tell you it's not what y'all think.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
3 cents at a time.
Yeah, it's very, very, very non-lucrative. I promise you that. And that's why we say you guys are what make these channels possible. You know what I'm saying? If it wasn't for y'all, none of this happens. So the mindset is there. Just like he's saying, the mindset's there. It's just how are we going to put it into action? We got all these thousands of people watching. Imagine if we all had the same train of thought and we all put our resources together, what we could accomplish, man. And that's what my standpoint is, and that's what my end game is for this, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, well, I'll tell you what, buddy. I feel like, man, I want to have a part 2.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Love, always, man, love talking to you. And it definitely it helps me because, I have to keep up with you because you speak so well.
Yeah. Hey, and shout out to the BLC. Like I tell y'all, man, I got my own channel, but I'm a member of the BLC. Sure. I even got I tell my girl and all that, man, we BLC members.
Yeah.
As far as we got some big things in the making that Big Lance don't even know. I'm working on things right now, but I want to put Big Lance on in the BLC. And man, this is just the beginning. Like I said, our end game is to be successful. You know what I'm saying? And even Big Lance with all the tattoos and stuff like that, I bet you he cleaned up well in that 3-piece suit.
I got one in there, dog.
Yeah. Hey, except for this time, we're not gonna just use our suits for funerals. I know when I was coming up, that's the only time I got clean, dressed. And then it got to the point we wasn't even wearing suits to funeral. We were wearing khaki suits with airbrush and stuff like that.
Well, you see a lot of these channels, and this is something that, I meant to bring up to you not too long ago. You see a lot of these channels, and they all there's some of them that kind of like got their little groups. They got like the sets, if you've noticed. Yeah. And, I feel like this is the beginning of something like that. And I feel like the message on both ends is so just coincides with each other that, there's definitely should be some collaboration there, man. And, kind of pushed each other in the right direction and helping each other move forward. Because, I mean, I can sit here, talk to you all day long. They're loving it. I'm watching the comments as they go by. I'm sure we're going to get great feedback on it, man. I definitely see it. I see a friendship growing here, brother.
For sure, man. For sure. So, yeah, hey, make sure y'all bang that like. Make sure y'all leave a comment. And if y'all ain't already did it, make sure you subscribe to both channels. Both
channels. Successful Convicts, Big Lance Off the Yard. We're all staying sucker free. And as always, prison rules are in effect. In effect. Repetition, repetition, repetition. We love each and every one of y'all. Thanks for watching. And Stay tuned for more dope ass videos from both channels, man. Y'all have a good day.
Peace.